I want my kids to be okay, Mel. I want my family to be okay.
The Pearson family deals with the aftermath of Jack's death in another emotional episode of This Is Us. Let's break down Season 2, Episode 15, The Car, here on What Happened. How's it going, everyone? I honestly still don't know if I've fully recovered from the Super Bowl episode of This Is Us, but alas, NBC has decided to torture us but also make us happy by giving us the second episode of the show in 1 week. And all I gotta say is, this is just almost as heartbreaking as the Sunday episode. After watching this episode, I want to know where all the Jack Pearsons in the world are. Also, I think Dr. Katowski is a good look at what Jack would have been like if he had lived to be an old man. Like, I think these two are peas in a pod, and I love both these guys. Now, this episode focuses mainly on the teenage versions of the Big Three, with some of the younger versions also appearing, but we don't have any of the older Big Three in this one. So I gotta say, the teenage Big Three actors, y'all did such a good job in this episode, and hopefully we get to see a lot more of them. Everyone on the show just does such a good job no matter what age they're playing. Okay, so this episode essentially shows just how good of a man Jack was, and they really hit that point home many times in this episode. It actually starts to get a tad repetitive, but I really love Jack, so I kind of don't care. The episode is titled The Car, and the Pearson family Wagoneer plays a big part in this episode. It ultimately is a representation of Jack making sure his family is okay even after he's gone. And throughout the episode, there are things in the car or things that happen in the car that remind the family of various memories of Jack. The episode begins with Rebecca sitting in the Wagoneer outside the hotel the day of Jack's funeral, honking the horn for the kids to get in the car. She looks down and sees a coffee cup and then opens an envelope with Bruce Springsteen tickets in it. We then flash back to the day Jack bought the Wagoneer. The whole family makes a trip to the dealership, and Jack jokes about using the kids to guilt the salesman into a good deal on a car. The salesman comes out and tries to pitch them this Wagoneer, but Rebecca says it's just too expensive, they just need something reliable and safe. So the salesman takes them outside to look at some used cars. While he's talking, Jack takes a look back inside and sees that the kids really like the Wagoneer, so Jack tells the salesman he wants to go inside and talk deals, but Rebecca's like, hey, we haven't even looked at a car yet, why are we talking deals? After a bit, Jack steps outside the salesman's office to tell Rebecca they're getting the Wagoneer, and when she says they can't afford it, he says the salesman gave them a really good deal. She's like, hey, what did you say to him? But Jack just tells Rebecca to tell the kids they're getting the Wagoneer. We do get to hear what Jack told the salesman, but that comes at the end of the episode to kind of sum everything up, so I'm going to talk about that at the end of this recap. After we see that the car is bought, we then get to see each of our characters have a memory dealing with Jack and the car. On the way to the cemetery, Kate says she forgot to put Louie in the crate before she left and that she doesn't want Louie anymore, so she's going to ask around to see if anyone wants him. Then, after Randall and Kevin get in a fight at the reception, Kate goes to sit in the Wagoneer by herself. We then flash back to Kate's memory, which I'm guessing takes place maybe a few weeks to a few months or possibly a year before Jack's death. I could be off on that, we don't really know the same timeline, but the character is still teenage Kate. There's a storm coming and Jack is driving around town and he spots Kate sitting at a bus stop. It's 10 a.m. on a Thursday, so someone is definitely playing hooky, but I think she has a good reason. Alanis Morissette is signing copies of Jagged Little Pill at Jerry's Records. Like, I honestly probably would have skipped school if that was me too. Now, Jack tells her to get in the car and Kate thinks that she is being driven back to school, but it turns out Jack's a cool dad.
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
On the way to the record store, Jack does his best to connect with Kate about her taste in music.
All right, so who's this Atlantis character whose music trumps a good education?
Dear God, Dad, Alanis, not Atlantis.
Oh, like that's a more normal name?
Jack, he is always full of good life lessons and sayings and good jokes, but even he is not immune to bad dad jokes. And I think that's kind of why I love this scene. It's just really relatable because I feel like we've all been there trying to explain to our parents or an older relative about the band that we like or the artists we like or TV shows, and they just like don't get it and they bring up the old stuff they like and they're like, oh, you should listen to this, it's better. It's kind of a bonding thing, right? Well, Kate tries to explain Alanis' music to Jack, but in typical dad fashion, he's not quite a fan of what he's hearing, so he pops in some Bruce Springsteen instead. After Kate points out the connection between Alanis and Bruce being really good storytellers, Jack tells Kate he really thinks she should give music some serious thought as a path. Like, seriously, why wasn't my dad more like Jack when I kind of said I wanted to pursue art or graphics design? Like, He made me get some other degree that I really don't use right now, so I guess I kind of had the last laugh, right? Well, before sending Kate off to see Alanis, Jack does tell Kate this.
You may not be this Alanis Morissette character, but you're Kate Pearson, okay? Whatever Kate Pearson has her heart set on, she gets.
She then tells him the Bruce album's pretty good, and Jack says maybe he'll get them tickets sometime, and there's the connection to the Bruce Springsteen tickets Rebecca had in the purse at the beginning of the episode. We also flash back to the night Jack died, to Kate being woken up by Louie and then talking to Rebecca asking how Jack died, because she just doesn't understand it. Kate keeps saying it was because he went back inside, right? To which Rebecca just says that she doesn't know, but Kate knows that she knows, and thus begins Kate blaming herself and why she doesn't want Louie anymore. As for Kevin and Randall, their memory isn't quite as happy as Kate's was, but it's still an important one. First, Kevin is having trouble with his tie on the way to the cemetery, and he has a flashback to when he and Jack were buying suits. Randall offers to help Kevin, but Kevin doesn't want it, and Randall also has a flashback to Jack teaching him to tie a tie when he was little. We then flash back a little bit more to see Jack teaching Randall to drive with Kevin in the back seat. Randall's driving too slow for Kevin's liking, so of course Kevin gives him some tood, which causes a fight, so Randall speeds up, runs a stop sign, and almost hits a truck. Jack just kicks them out of the car and tells them to walk 5 miles home. Yeah, Jack may be Mr. Nice Guy, but he also knows how to deliver some tough love. When Randall and Kevin return home, they see Jack outside working on the Wagoneer. They apologize, and Jack says he just doesn't understand them because he and his brother Nicky were best friends and inseparable at that age. Randall brings up how Jack actually never talks about Nicky or his childhood, and Jack's just like, you already know all the big stuff when it comes to my mom and dad and how Nicky was my best friend and we went to war and he died. Jack then says that he and Nicky had to look out for each other because there was no one else that was going to do it. But Kevin and Randall are lucky because nothing's forcing them to have each other's back, so they're either going to fix what's broken between them or they won't. And he seriously hopes that they fix it because he and Rebecca won't be around forever and they're going to need each other to lean on.
And when we're gone, the two of you and your sister are the only people on this planet. We're going to be able to look back and remember all the stuff that's happened to you.
After the ceremony at the reception, Kevin notices Randall is wearing Jack's watch, and that does not sit well with him, and he causes a scene. Kevin tells Randall he's tired of Randall trying to act like the new man of the house, and a real man would have stopped Jack from going back into the house, and he would have never let Jack go back in. But Randall is quick to reply with, "You weren't even there, Kevin," so touche. As for Rebecca's memories, we flash back to a time when Jack took Rebecca to the hospital because she thought she may have a brain tumor or something. To get Rebecca's minds off the impending test results, he takes her to his so-called favorite tree, and then he says stuff that doesn't even seem real.
How is the snow still gonna fall if you're not around to see it? Just wouldn't seem right.
He essentially tells Rebecca she's going to live forever. When she asks why this tree is his favorite tree, he just says it's because it's where you're going to find out you're okay, and then his pager goes off. So Rebecca goes to the payphone, calls the doctor, and learns that her dizziness is just from an inner ear infection, so once again, Jack was right. Rebecca again asks Jack why he chose that tree, and he jokes saying it was because it was the closest to the payphone and he never actually been to that tree before. Now when they're back in the car, things get a little more serious when Jack once again tells Rebecca she's going to live forever, and that means he's going to die first, and he tells her that he doesn't want to be put in the ground, hence why we see him cremated in the urn. Flashing back forward, and after Kevin and Randall's fight, Rebecca goes to get some air and she hears someone say hello, and it's good old lemon metaphor Dr. Katowski and his wife. Rebecca tells the doc that she wasn't there when Jack died, so she's trying to make up for it by following his urn around, and she feels like she just can't do any of this without Jack because Jack knew how to do everything and he was fearless. Well, Doc lets her know that Jack was human too and wasn't actually fearless. Jack ended up paying the Doc quite a few visits the first years after the big three were born because Jack had a lot of fears, especially about being a good father and keeping his family happy and healthy. Rebecca again tries to say she can't do it without Jack, but Doc reassures her that she is as tough as they come, and the two sit for a bit in another beautiful scene in this episode. We then flash back to Jack driving the family home with the groceries on Super Bowl Sunday with the snacks that they need to make. He's telling them to not make plans for the next Saturday because he has a surprise for them, which would be the Bruce Springsteen tickets. And then we get another shot of him putting his coffee cup down, and that's the coffee cup Rebecca has yet to throw away. Now after her chat with the doc, Rebecca goes into the reception and gets Jack's urn and the kids, and she takes them to Jack's favorite tree, and talks about how at first she wasn't sure if she wanted kids, and then about how Jack was always right and could see things before they happened, including the big three. She then tells Kevin and Randall that neither of them have to try to be the man of the house. They just need to worry about being regular 17-year-old boys. Now the next part really got me when Rebecca tells Kate this.
No, listen to me. Because it was not your fault. Do you hear me? He was a grown man, Kate, who made a choice.
The family then take a handful of Jack's ashes each and spread them around the tree, and we understand why Kevin went to that tree to talk to Jack. Kate makes sure though that they don't spread all the ashes around, so that's why she ends up with Jack's urn. Rebecca then tells the kids that Jack got them Springsteen tickets for that night, and she thinks they should all go, and they agree. Rebecca then hangs back for a second to tell Jack they're going to be okay, and she promises they're going to be okay. Now kids, if this was a Sesame Street episode, you probably would have figured out by now that the word of the day or the episode is okay, because we then get to see just what Jack told that car salesman Mel to get the deal on the Wagoneer that they couldn't afford. Jack essentially tells the guy that this car is going to tell the family story from every scrape to spill to ding it endures, and we see flashbacks of all those things happening with the family in the car. Jack says the Wagoneer is tough and sturdy, which is what the Pearsons need, and Jack just wants his family to be okay, so he asks the car salesman to help him take care of his family. Yeah, me trying to paraphrase this speech does not do it justice. It's way too long to read word for word, and the clip is too long to play, so I just recommend you going to watch this episode as a whole, or at least that part. The episode then ends with the Pearsons on their way to the Springsteen concert, with Kevin and Randall having a moment making up as Kevin reaches over and puts his hand on Randall's wrist with Jack's watch on it, and they give each other a nod like everything is okay, especially when they're in that car. And there you have it. We see how each of the Pearsons dealt with Jack's death. Rebecca felt shame and like she wouldn't be able to keep the family together without him, while Kate began to blame herself, and then Kevin and Randall fought over Jack's belongings as well as being man of the house. The family though ended up realizing they have each other, and even without Jack, he made sure that they would be okay. Now let's take a look to see what's in store for the next episode.
After the Olympics, This Is Us will return with new episodes and with great stories you've come to expect. And if you think you know what the coming seasons will reveal, Jack's story has just begun.
Alright, so the bad news, we have to wait until after the Olympics for the show to return. Ugh, that is so long. I think it's like a month, right? And yeah, I might go through withdrawals, but I guess I'll get my fill of winter sports. I don't know, but maybe that's why they gave us 2 episodes so close together, to try to make up for it and make us forget that there's going to be a long break. But when the show returns, it does seem like Deja is back. Kate and Toby have their bachelorette and bachelor parties. Kevin has to deal with the temptations of the minibar, and we'll see his progress with his addiction, like if he's really made actual progress. And even though Jack may have died, there are plenty of stories about him to tell, and it seems like we're flashing back to young Jack's life. So hopefully we'll get to know more about his bro, Nikki. And as this recap comes to a close, hit me up in the comments down below with all your thoughts on the episode. Did you catch maybe any references to past episodes or important things that are happening in the present day that I might have missed? Because I got really thick glasses and I tend to miss things, seeing them, because a lot of you seem to catch that Kevin's painting was hanging in Tessa's wall in the last episode, and you thought that was pretty important. So if I missed something, let me know. That's why I like doing these things, because I get to hear from you guys, and you catch things that I don't, and I might catch things you don't. It's a community of love here. Also, let me know what you're looking forward to seeing when the show comes back, and what part of Jack's life you really want to learn more about. Then you can check out more of my interviews and videos right over here. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see. And until the next episode of This Is Us, my name's Lisa. Hopefully I'll see you again real soon.